Hey y'all, and welcome back to the chat. This is Remy's Love Unlocked, first episode where we talk about all things love, life, and relationships. And today we're talking about why do you allow that person to play ding dong ditch with your heart? And you know how they used to play back in the day, ding dong ditches when somebody comes to your house, they knock on the door and they run away. Some people in these relationships are doing the same thing. They welcoming their self to your house and to your life. They knocking on the door, but they ain't got no intentions on staying. And you got to be careful of those people, because it reminds me of the movie Sinners when at the beginning of the movie you could see the vampire out on the outside of the door. And the vampire, when they came, they looked like they were just helpless. Something's wrong with them. And sometimes people show up like that. They come looking for some help and they don't look for love. And you gotta check people's spirit when they coming in your surroundings and they come into your house, because you don't know what kind of energy they bringing. You gotta be spiritually aware when you open up your eyes to see somebody's heart and not looking on the outside, because the outside can look like this person is a nice person, and in reality, those type of people don't know what niceness is. They go around and they do this to everybody. They play these games with everybody. And they just keep on going around and seeing and taking from people. And when I say take it, it could be your energy, it could be time, it could be your state of mind. And you still continuing on giving to people who is not reciprocating your energy. Like, it also reminds me about, that TikTok trend, they say, but before this man, after this man. And after this man, their body don't look the same, their mind don't look the same, their thoughts ain't even the same. So you got to be careful as to how you continue to let people come into your life with no good intentions on staying or doing the right thing, and they're taking something from you. Especially if you lay down with them. You don't know what kind of stuff you're picking up from people. Spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. They have to be pouring into you. And it used to be, back in the day, relationships didn't work out, or I would get upset. They used to always say, well, you must not be hurting bad enough. Sometimes if you hurt bad enough, you're not going to stay in a jacked up situation. And that goes for everybody. Like, you're not going to continue to hurt and go through the same things if you're going to intentionally stay there. It's like so many people who sit there and say, well, I don't like this man. I'm tired of this man. Every week they calling their friends, they calling their mama, they calling the therapist, and they stay right there with the man. And they just telling people to help, getting people, you getting sympathy, and people are trauma dumping on you. Sometimes you gotta be real with yourself and figure out, if you don't want to leave, that's your pain. And I understand being hurt and being in that cycle, but you don't have to stay in the cycle. It's always a way out. But some people have been in a cycle of dysfunction for so long, dysfunction begins to look normal when you've done it for an extended period of time and you haven't had no normal experiences. You got to start thinking about the future. And some people you get up with, they're not thinking about no future. They're thinking about right now. They having fun for right now, but what happens later? You know? So, I had a previous relationship that was like that. They kept on playing ding dong ditch and knocking on the door. And I kept right on opening it. And this went on a cycle for years until I realized, I said, you know what? This is a repeating pattern. And even though time has changed and life has changed, sometimes you got to realize They ain't gonna never change, and they always gonna be the same. It's up to you to accept it or not accept it. You don't have to accept it. And that's where I cut it off. Because sometimes you get tired of asking for something that in some people you're never going to get. I don't care how long it take. You can wish, you can pray, you can manifest. But if the person is not in the right space to change and they don't want to change, it ain't nothing in the world that's going to make them do the right thing. And that's what I had to realize. I had to sit here and really take a moment to think they're not changing. And sometimes in those type of situations, you got to change yourself. You got to change yourself because ain't nobody coming to change you. You the only person. And sometimes, like I said, they don't always come in love. Some people come because you doing good and you doing too good. That's like person, let's call him Jack. Jack kept on coming back into my life. And I noticed every time Jack came back, I was doing good. I was in a high spot in my life. Things was going well. And every time we went through this cycle of you love me, do you love me not? Jack would always come in on the highs and try to leap off of successes. But when it came down to where you needed somebody to be there, emotional intelligence, Jack was not nowhere to be found. And that's another thing you got to start realizing. Where is this person emotional intelligence at? Do they have any emotional intelligence? What do they do? Are they in therapy? Do they get some help? Like what are they looking for? And sometimes they want you to be the help. And you got to realize some people you can't help. And the only person that you can help sometimes is yourself. And if you can't love nobody else, if you can't love yourself, what the saying go, you can't love nobody else. And self-love and self-respect and joy, peace, all that comes from within yourself. And sometimes you're not going to find people to give you back what you're putting out. So you got to be aware as to who you open up the door for. You got to be aware of what you're choosing and who you're choosing to let in. And you got to be open to being able to have better experiences. Sometimes if it's not with the person, you're having a better experience for yourself, and you're providing yourself with the love you didn't get from other people. So, once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and share. See you later.